focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks. So welcome to the Wealth on the Beach podcast. My name is Daniel Alonzo, and as always, I'm your host, bringing you some of the greatest minds in the world. We're talking about business, we're talking about money, health, and wealth. And today we have an incredible guest. His name's Eddy Miranda, and from Miami, I believe. And we're excited to talk about his, career in life, and he's big time into marketing. First business Dean Design Studios, founded in 2014, catered to the fitness business. Then he went into the pro league news. And now he's building an awesome organization, 1,800 agents in his organization. And we'll talk more about that type of business that he's in. And he's also a coach to network marketers. So people that are trying to market businesses and trying to grow their business, he's trying to, be of value and of service to those people as well. So Eddy, what's going on, man? What's the weather like in Miami right now, man?
Well, first of all, Daniel, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a true blessing to be on here. And man, if you're in California, our weather is just the same. It's nice and shiny outside, a little bit more humid than over on the West Coast, but nonetheless, it's shiny all day long over here. It's like literally summer about like 9 months out of the year.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man. I was in Miami in, I think, January, and had an amazing time. I was so excited because I could actually breathe without a mask. There's not masks everywhere, so I could actually breathe the air. And so that was fun. That was a really fun time down there, and with Fort Lauderdale, and hung out with some friends. So, but hey, look, Eddy, tell me a little bit about like how you grew up. I want to kind of dive a little bit back into your past. And as a child, did you always know you were going to be in sales and you were going to be in a leadership position? Did you always, or what were you like when you were a little kid?
Well, I mean, my family was, middle class. My dad had his own company for medical, and my mom was a nurse that she actually ended up turning to being one of the top sales reps in Forest Pharmaceuticals for the time. Around the age of 14, she passed away. So after that, my life got really, really rocky. I had no direction. I had no idea where I was going to go. I just knew that I just wanted to be in front of people. That's all I knew. I didn't know how. I just knew it was like, man, if I'm seeing like all these stars and all these influential people, I'm like, man, I would love to be inside that position to like be able to touch people and connect with people. But again, it was really, really rocky after my mom passed away. I started finding out a lot of things about my dad that I just didn't know about, and really kind of had like a really disconnect from a lot of my family. Um, so once I turned I think like 18, I was like, I was really, really into graffiti. I was, doing a lot of arts and stuff like that. And I transitioned to doing graphic design. So then that's where I kind of got like my kickstart, like, doing club flyers here in Miami, doing brochures for like stores, things like that. And again, I was still trying to find my foothold. I still didn't know what entrepreneurship was. I didn't know, I just knew how to hustle. Like I remember at one point I was working like 4 different jobs. I was working at a club. I had a freelance graphic design, which I got clients every once in a while. I was working for another graphic design shop, and I had an estimating job, for landscaping here in Miami. But again, just didn't know. I just knew I wanted to do something. I even got into DJ because I'm like, I just want to be that person that just like lets everybody like, go to the music and impact so many people. So
were you like that? I mean, as a kid, right? As a child, I mean, were you like that also? I mean, is that kind of like, were you like the life of the crowd? I mean, were you always making friends, or like what kind of little kid were you?
no, so like I was literally the kid that always got picked on at school. So I was super introverted. I didn't make much friends. And because I was like, man, I just didn't want people to pick on me, so I tried to like stay in my corner and like not to give them the leverage to actually do that, you know. But yeah, that's just super introverted. I didn't go out, as much. I think one of the things that I did do was just like I would go to like a skating rink here every single weekend when I was a kid. That's how I like made friends, and it was cool because I made really good friends outside of school because the kids inside of school would always be picking on me, right? So yeah, so I was always like an introvert, not much, not connecting as often as I would have liked.
And do you have did you have kind of like a mentor? I mean, was there somebody that really motivated you to kind of turn your life around? Because you obviously had a very tough upbringing and probably some dark days. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, can you tell us about some of those?
Yeah, so here in Miami, it's all about partying. If you come here, it's all about the clubs, and I was really, really engulfed into that lifestyle. And it came to a point that literally it was my 25th birthday. I went out and partied, got a little bit too hammered, completely embarrassed myself. Woke up the next day, completely feeling completely horrible, and I'm like, I just cannot do this to my life anymore. So I was like, I just need to. I know that I needed to kind of make of a change. And from my previous marriage, her and I would always go to church, and I was like, maybe I just need to get back into church. So I found a church here in South Florida called Calvary Chapel of Kendall. It was led by Pastor Pedro Garcia at the time. And, I went on their website. And since I knew website stuff, I was like, man, their website's kind of messed up. So I contacted them like, hey, do you guys kind of need help and this and that? And they directed me to the creative director. Well, I sat down in his office. He's like, man, you have a great portfolio. I love what you're doing, but I think you really need to sit in church a little bit more often. But the thing is that I continued, since he was like the only connection I really had, I continued to connect with him, so on and so forth, that to the point that he literally took me under his wing when it came to like graphic design and branding and everything like that. Like it's weird because he would not do that to anybody. So like his family was like, man, you're special because like he does not take anybody underneath his wing. To the point that he got me hired at the church. And I guess that's where I really start learning like kind of like how to go on my own, because not only did I have an amazing education underneath him for the creative and the graphic design, but in life as well. Like he pointed me in so many good directions to make sure that I was going in the right direction. And I think that that's where like my entrepreneurship just started getting kicked off. It was really being under his wing.
So that's kind of where the marketing started, the marketing side of you started. So tell me about how you started your first business and what that was like. I mean, was it hard? Was it easy? Did you, skyrocket to the top really fast, or did you go through dark days, dark times? Tell us about the beginning of your first venture.
So, I mean, I wouldn't even say that's my first venture because I've actually tried doing this like two times before. But this one was different. So I was still working at the church, and I was like, you can't live off of a church salary. I'm like, I'm sorry, no matter how much you love working there and you want to help out people, like it's so hard to live off of that salary. So, I was like, let me just see if I could just start getting, graphic design clients and stuff like that. And at the time, I was connected with a bunch of fitness people. Those fitness people were actually like, hey, I really like your work. Do you want to start, doing stuff for the company and things like that? So I started working with a company called Eat Me Go Free. I also started working with a company, B Force Bands, and they really catapulted my business because I was able to brand the entire company. I was able to do everything for those companies, and it started steamrolling. I started getting other clients in fitness, connected with some Fortune 500 companies, and was able to do work for them. And it got to the point that I got so busy, and it really wasn't rough, right? Because I still had the cushy church job, so I still had my salary, but then I still was making some additional income. So I was able to save up for at least 3 months of my finances at the church, and then I go to the church. I'm like, hey, I'm out of here. I'm going to start going on my own. And they're like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm sure I want to do this." So, but I was such a crucial part of the actual team there that they're like, "Hey, can you give us like a month?" I'm like, "Man, I really want to leave already, but no, like, yeah, I'll give you guys a month." And I remember after the first day that I never had to, I didn't have to walk into the church anymore. Yeah, the nervousness kicked in because I was like, okay, now I have to like rely on myself. I'm not getting a steady paycheck. I have to make this work. So in that time, yeah, there were some ups and downs, but also in the interim of that, I was also competing too. So I was like really, really busy, and I couldn't even think of like an up or down. I thought everything was going amazing at that point, for the very first year and a half of like starting that company on my own.
And so when you look back, why do you think that your marketing was better than, like, what are some of the things that you might have done that you noticed that a lot of other people don't do?
Oh, hands down, it's putting value towards the customer, because if you go to a lot of, like, let's say a web developer and stuff like that, they'll try to trick you into a way that you're always on the retainer because of certain things. And I always made it clear to my clients, I'm like, look, I know I'm doing the stuff for you, but this is your business, this is your website, this is your designs, this is everything. It's not mine, so there's no reason for me to be holding all your stuff hostage. That was one aspect. I always had the customer's mind in the back of my head. And secondly, I felt that I was well rounded in order to give the businesses the advice that they needed in order to grow. They would always ask me, "Hey, what should I do? Should I do this?" I'm like, oh, "Okay, maybe we should do a campaign like this, or maybe we should do a campaign like that. Maybe if we do the packaging a little bit differently, have these inserts." So I always worked with my clients and tried to help them grow in their business, because again, if they weren't growing in their business, then I'm not growing in mine. So I think that that's really what stood out from like the kind of work that I was doing with all my clients.
And so you were trying to kind of set up a win-win situation where if they won, you won. And so
Mhm.
you were always trying to do your best to help them do good. And that's a major key, I think, to anybody going in business.
Yeah,
Stop thinking about just you. Stop thinking about just how well you do, because if your client doesn't do well, well, then that's not good for you long range. And
100%.
so it makes sense, right? So
Yeah.
so the question is, like, because you look at a lot of, obviously you're on social media, you see people there, you see their websites, you see their social media, you see their branding, you see their marketing, and of course you're a marketing expert. So what, Eddy, what are a lot of the challenges that people are having right now? What are a lot of the mistakes that people are making when it comes to marketing their businesses?
It's 100%, it's consistency. So like, for instance, I'll tell you the Eat Me Go Free. Like, I worked with her a couple in a couple spots before, and then she decided to go on her own. And then she came back to me and is like, "Man, I really need to figure this out." And I was like, "Well, first of all, you have like 3 or 4 different kinds of logos, right? Your branding, your look is not consistent across the board. So how are people going to connect with you if all they see is something completely different from one aspect of either your social media or your packaging, to so that people could actually follow you, right? So I think consistency as far as branding is concerned is one of the major aspects. Your messaging has to be on point and has to be consistent across the board. And a lot of people jump around, either it could be a look, or it could be their messaging, or they're just talking about way too many things instead of like honing down on just one aspect of it, that I think that a lot of businesses and a lot of people fail to do.
And so when you got into, I know after marketing, and you still obviously teach people about marketing, right? I mean, you coach people
100%.
on marketing, you coach people on how to brand. Any other challenges that you see? Because I think this is an interesting subject, because I see so many people making so many mistakes. I mean, like, too many pictures with their dog, right? I mean, like, you're trying to sell me on a product, or you're trying to sell me on you, and there's too many outside influences in your marketing. And I think people just don't know that they're marketing. Would you agree?
You know, 100%. I mean, and we run into that inside of the network marketing industry a whole lot. Like people, they're like, man, I'm trying to do attraction marketing and I'm not getting any clients. I'm like, well, I look at your Instagram and all it is quotes, you know. So like, how are you going to appeal to those kind of people? It's definitely something that just really needs to be hammered out, and people just need to be put in the right direction. Again, it's just branding in all aspects. And I think also too, like, and this happens to a lot of people too, as an entrepreneur, like, we feel like we have to do everything, so a company has to do everything. And that's further from the truth, because you should always take what you're really really strong on, right? Take that to 100. But then, like, okay, I'm weak on my email marketing. Okay, well, you find a professional that's going to be helping you with your email marketing. Well, I'm horrible at graphic design. Well, you find a professional that's going to help you with the graphic design. So people are like, yeah, but that's a cost. I'm like, well, if you're generating the revenue the right way, you could start handing things off to other people that is going to help you boost your business, so that you could focus on the main thing, which is just generating the major revenue coming to your company, and push aside everything else. Because if you get trapped inside that loop, then you will never be able to scale your business whatsoever.
But I think there's kind of like a tricky time, for people, like where they have to make the decision, especially in network marketing, where they got to make a decision that, God wants them to be here, right?
Yeah.
Or that they got to make a decision that they're going to do this. Like
Mm.
they're going all in on this, and not have 47 different things that they're doing. Because
Mm.
what happens, they got their hands in all these different areas. They're never focused. They'll never master their craft at that one thing. But this is the challenge, that, as far as on the money aspect, that I think a lot of people struggle with. And it's the fact that, like you said, right, takes a little bit of money. You want somebody to help you with graphic design, you need to pay them. You need to set up a good website, you got to buy it. You need, there's certain things you got to spend money. You want to do a podcast, you got to buy a microphone. There's certain things that you got to do to keep the dang thing rolling, right? But now,
100%.
but in the beginning, they ain't making no money.
Yeah.
So there's a disconnect where it's like, if you don't do some of these things, you'll never get it off the ground. I'm not saying you have to spend a lot of money to start your business, but if you don't do certain things, you're never going to get the thing off the ground. And so, how do we deal with that? Like where, is there places that we can go where we can maybe get it a little bit cheaper in the beginning, or do we just F it, take a freaking loan, and dive into whatever you're doing and go all in, and let's see what happens? I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
So yeah, I mean, my thoughts is, I'm a perfect example of that. Every time that something came up that I'm like, man, I need to kind of do that, I actually went out and learned it on my own, whether it be through books or through YouTubes or things like that. So I actually learned the skill on my own. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I've been able to do what I've been able to do, is because of that. So learning at least a skill set, but you also have to be very, very focused as well, right? Because this is what happens. Like, oh, I need to go on Instagram. Oh, I need to go on Facebook. I need, go on YouTube. I need to do this. Okay, well, pick one thing. Focus on that one thing, right? Like, again, any social media platform is really, really good for your exposure, and you should be on social media. But what ends up happening is like, hey, I need to be on Facebook. I need to be YouTube. I need to be on TikTok. I need to be on Snapchat. I need to be on Clubhouse, and everything like that. And you wear yourself thin because of all this content that you have to make. So focus on one. Which one's your passion right now? Oh, Instagram's my passion. Okay, well, focus on Instagram and start building your audience on Instagram. Okay, what's your, like, then what's your second one? Well, I've already built my Instagram. It's going really, really good. Okay, let's start transferring the content over into Facebook. Focus on that one thing and keep pushing forward on that one thing until it gets really, really good, and then push on to the next one.
I like that. I like that. And I also like that you said that you sometimes got to learn the skill on your own. I mean, I think that was a big part of what I did early on. Is I
Mm.
built a lot of systems for duplication,
Mm.
and was able to train my agents while I wasn't around. And
Mm.
so that's what really helped me early on, Well, guess what? I had to learn how to use a computer. I had to go buy a little microphone. I plugged it in with those little skinny microphones early on with my, Dell computer that I had, my PC, and I had to plug that sucker in, learn how the microphone. I had to download all these little drivers and had to go on the internet and figure out how to use this stuff and read books at the library and figure out how to, make a video, on the computer, and all these little different things that I did through the years. I figured that shit out late at night. I still worked hard. I still got a lot of results. I still made a lot of money, but I was up late at night learning how technology worked, because I knew that the future was going to be technology. The future was going to be duplication, and how do we duplicate this process? So what are some of the things that you do? Because you have 1,800 licensed agents, and tell us a little bit about that business and what kind of business it is, and how you're actually creating duplication within your business.
Yeah. So, the current business that we're in right now is actually the second network marketing business that we're in, because we were in a business before. And, if anybody's ever heard of network marketing or been in network marketing, they know, like, okay, you have to rely on your upline and, listen to what they say and everything like that. And we did that. And, my wife had left, a $500 a week job to only get at her maximum $700 a month. Right. So it was a real hard hit. And I had to come to realize that, this, what they're teaching network marketing is completely wrong. Like, a lot of these gurus, what they're teaching right now is against the grain of what they are actually doing themselves in order to get the clients. So after I came to the realization about that, I was like, you know what, let's just find a new company. The company that we went into has an amazing compensation plan. I paid for my wife to get into it. She was like super hesitant, but I'm like, no, we're doing this. Like, and I go, look, I don't care who we sign up under, because I already know the mistakes and I already know what we can do. So I had already gotten, having to like click funnels and, reading all Russell Brunson's books. And I'm like, this all kind of like makes sense, which is already like kind of like what I was doing with Pro League News and Men's Physique News before this venture, right? Because we built that brand, we were the attractive character and everything like that when it came to that. And we started getting our people in. We started doing the attraction marketing. We started getting the downline in, and then we start making funnels. I started seeing what problems we were starting to get into. Like, one of the things was like prospecting calls. Like, we had an issue either. We had our leaders asking, everybody, hey, who needs to jump on a prospect call, and we rearrange everybody's schedule to have 10 people confirm, only 2 people show up, and none of them sign up. So, and then also another issue that we had is that we would send people to somebody else in the organization, and they would take the prospects. They wouldn't sign up under the person that initially sent us. So I'm like, I need to fix this problem. So I created a funnel that basically it's an automatic prospect call funnel. We send them the link. If they hopped into the link, then we know that they're really interested, and then they'll see the video, and then our team or ourselves will follow up with the person, and we will have all ethics stuff. We set up applications. So if, like, they would see us online, right, they'll go through an application funnel of ours, having things for our products and things like that if they want to come through it. So we basically automated through funnels to get to the point that we didn't have to do a lot of the front end work, because people were already coming to us, and they just would have to click a link, see all the information. If they're interested, book a call, and then we'll jump on a call to finalize and then have them join the team. So yeah, we built and we hand that down to our team as well. They're like, yeah, I really want your system and this and that. I'm like, okay, I'll coach you through how to word this, how to make the video and everything like that. Just get the ClickFunnels account yourself, and I'll help you make sure that you monetize all of this stuff.
So basically, all of your agents, you help them set up their own ClickFunnels. So they pay for the ClickFunnels, and then basically, do you have like a template that they're going to use? I mean, you give them that template, and you say, just use this template. All I'm going to do is just set it up for you, and then you pay for any Facebook ads or whatever, and you run it. Is that kind of how you're doing it?
Yeah, 100%. So like basically I always had a blank mock-up template. I'm like, this is the page how it should look like, this is the structure, everything like that. And they install it into their ClickFunnels by a simple link, and they're ready to go after they plug everything in.
Wow, that's fantastic. I love that. I mean, one of the challenges that I'm having, maybe you could give me your thoughts on this, but one of the challenges I'm working with my marketing guy right now, we just tried to run some Facebook ads, and Facebook is really tight, man. They're very
Yeah.
strict about especially business opportunity type of ads. How do you get
Yeah.
around the business opportunity? Like they're shutting those down, saying kind of they're trying to prevent like scams or business opportunity BS kind of stuff. How do you get around that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. So being in network marketing, it's really really hard to push out an ad. So you have to be very careful with the language. You have to make sure that you comply with everything, even on the back ends. Making sure that your domain's verified, making sure that you have everything set up in the proper manner, and making sure that you're targeting the right people, right? But again, it is the verbiage and the language. Like you cannot say, "I'm going to help you." Make six figures. Like you just can't do that, right? So you have to word it in a way that it still says that, but in a more compliance order, right? So I don't know how many ads I've gotten rejected just because I had like one specific word on there. And the moment I remove that sentence or word, all the ads get approved and it gets pushed forward. But yeah, it's just based on compliance and making sure that you have the not only the right audience, you have everything set up properly in the back end of your business manager, but the verbiage and how you're communicating to people is in not a persuasive way for people to come in. Now, when it comes to network marketing, it's a completely different field because you can't market the actual company. So what do people do? Well, they do something like a self-liquidating offer, which they promote their teaching or their course or whatever on the front end, that would ultimately in the back end would lead them to, hey, yeah, I'm interested in joining this person, how can I join them, right? So they always have something on the front end. So like if you ever pop into somebody's website that's in network marketing and then you start getting all those ads, you will never see it's a straight up, hey, join my team kind of a thing. It's more like, hey, I was able to do this, I'm going to show you how to do it too.
And so that's called a self-liquidating offer. Is that
Yeah,
right? So, so,
correct.
so it's basically where you're all you're doing is you're getting on and you're doing an ad saying, "This is what I did. This is how
Hmm.
I did it." But you're not really telling them they can do it. You're not saying you can do it too. You're just basically just saying I can do it. I did it, and then from there they'll follow your website, and then through your website they'll kind of get connected. Is that explain that maybe a
Yes.
little more deeper?
Yeah, so as far as like my messaging, I really had to like kind of home down on my messaging when it came to the ads. So basically the direction that we kind of went with it was that, hey, you've already been through all these struggles, right? You've already done the courses, you've already done, the webinars, you've already done all this stuff. And yeah, it worked great for that guru, but did it really work for you? Well, look, I'm going to be here to help you to make sure that you become successful in network marketing. So it's not like I'm telling them, hey, I'm going to give you the results right away. I'm like, hey, I'm just going to be hand holding you across the way to make sure that you're successful, doing what it is that you're doing. So that's how I was able to kind of get around it. So as far as like, hey, yeah, you could have the success too, something like that Facebook would actually block. But if you say, hey, I'm just going to be helping you, to make sure that you're just as successful as, hey, my team or my clients, then that's a way to kind of go around it. Another great way is, to market is, hey, here's a testimonial from a client. This is what the client said, and say, hey, like I could help you do the exact same thing. So it's not like a, how can I say it? It's not like a complete offer and saying, yeah, this is what you're going to get, but hey, I'm just really going to be helping you along the way to make sure that you're just as successful as this person.
I love it, man. Good stuff, man. This is a lot of fun, man. This is a ton of value. Thank you so much, Eddy. What other tips can you give people in the marketing business, network marketing. Any thoughts that you have as we kind of close this out, in trying to help us grow bigger, better businesses faster?
100%. It has to be relationships. 100%. I learned that when I had Pro League News and Men's Physique News, I built relationships with all the athletes, to the point that it became such an influential brand inside of the professional bodybuilding league. And the same thing with network marketing or any network marketer. I mean, I just hate the fact that inside my Facebook DM, I get this long paragraph already stating the problem that I don't have with a solution that I don't need, instead of ultimately just building rapport with people, right? Business thrives on relationships, and that's the way it should be. When you're just trying to go in for the jugular and think that you're going to get the sale right off the bat, it doesn't work that way. Every business steamrolls. The more relationships you build, the bigger you're going to get. A brick and mortar, they just open up for the first time, they're going to get 100 clients that month. But if they keep on building relationships, they're going to have 200 clients the next month, and they keep building 500. So the more you build relationships, the more steamrolling you're going to go, and the bigger your business is going to get.
Oh, great stuff, man. Well, this has been awesome, Eddy. Tell us how we can get in touch with you if we're going to. I know a lot of people, they may want coaching, they may just want ideas. Maybe get us your website and your Instagram and wherever you promote. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in my coaching, the domain is Eddy, EDDY, Miranda, MIRANDA.com. And if you guys want to check me on Instagram, it's my first name, Eddy, EDDY, my middle initial D for Daniel, and then my last name, Miranda, MIRANDA. And on Facebook, it's Eddy Miranda Original. So you guys could check out my Facebook page there as well.
Good stuff. Hey, everybody, just do me a favor. If you get in touch with Eddy, if you connect with him in some sort of way, do me a favor and at least just tell him you heard him on Wealth on the Beach podcast, and then also make sure you smash that like button, subscribe like crazy, share. Everybody's got to hear this information. This information to me is some of the most valuable content that I provide to my audience, because nobody talks about this stuff. This is a little bit of a higher level conversation, but we all got to start raising our game and start thinking marketing, thinking, large net versus these people that go to the mall and they prospect. And it's like, you ain't going to change your life prospecting at the mall. Please. There's another game. Yeah, exactly. There's another game that we're playing, and you're going to get left behind if you're not playing this game. If you're not playing the high level game where you're on social media, where you're building a brand, where you're getting consistent messaging, you're going to get left behind. And I never want that to happen to anybody in my audience. So share this with your teammates, share this with people that share this with anybody that wants to learn and get better. With that said, thank you so much, everybody, for listening and watching. By the way, if you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribing, because this definitely will be on YouTube. And as always, thank you, Eddy, too, for your time. We appreciate you so much. Great to get to know you here today. But as always, make sure that you dream bigger than ever. Get after it. Don't forget to get after it, but make sure that you do it now. God bless you. We will see you at the top.